today, and round students already coming inside to take lessons of the animations. They want to make some money out there. Looks like the digital skills is the way to go lately. With these tough economic times, and you make use of your skills, just your computer, get a license, $40, you get a software, you do your animation, something I'm planning to do. Well, we are back with Alex Musisi as we are still getting to know more about the animation business, not just the art side of it. And we just want to talk about the global competitiveness because you realize that majority of the innovations in Uganda, and animations being also part of the innovations, the greatest challenge they face is global competition, whereby majority of Ugandans, we don't embrace our local made innovations, local made animations, and we go into the European, the United States animations, let me say foreign animations. And now we want to talk about global competitiveness, right? As because even an animator out there, as you're watching, you'll be picking a leaf to make sure that you can upgrade your animation skills to another level, and definitely income comes in and you pay the taxes. Alex, we are still moving on. Let's talk about global competitiveness. As somebody who has been to the industry for quite a long time, how do you think we can strategize as the local animators to ensure that you compete globally?
Yes, Andrew, that is quite a wonderful question. So global competitiveness, when you talk about other industries, you find that it is kind of a problem. Now, in our industry, it is an issue, but I wouldn't say much call it a problem. Now, animation as an art form, it has something called, it has a number of advantages. And one of the main on which I want to link to the global competitiveness is that it has a tendency to cross cultural boundaries with ease. Now, as long as you can, what do I mean in this case? As long as you can animate something wonderful, consumable, in a language that is recognized on a global market, people consume it. So, previously, as we were discussing in the industry, one of the biggest problems was that people were watching a lot of Netflix in our local market. People are watching a lot of Disney Plus. The channels are many. And the content, like Cartoon Network, the content, they have so much content. But the interesting turn of events is this. Now, the bigger companies on the global markets, like maybe Cartoon Network and Disney, they have interest in African stories. So as much as there's that competition, but there's also an advantage in it that the local animators, actually, we have a place where we can collaborate with those bigger international corporations in order for our stories actually to be put on those platforms. Now, these companies, when they become corporations, one of the most important things to them is to make money. They don't so much, we can't say that Disney is going to come here in Uganda and compete with us. I mean, our market is pretty small. But Disney, there's one thing they want from us, our stories. And you cannot animate a local story without local individuals, artists. The way I animate a Muganda or a cultural aspect, an Indian might not be able to animate it. You see, you can tell that this animation is from India, this is from Uganda, this is from America. You can tell this is a British animation because animation is culture in a way. So one way or the other, our animation, our content is attached to us. So that we already have packaged that naturally. It is ours. They can't take it away from us, but they can collaborate with us. So talking about international competitiveness, one of the major areas we are trying to improve is the quality of skills. The global animation industry has been in play for maybe a century. Disney is almost a century old. Yeah. They have been at it, they have experience, their technology is through the roof. Now, in Uganda, most people who are engaging the animation industry, we are mostly youth. We are people who don't have a lot of capital. We are people who are working mostly with our wits, basically to make a few small studios, which actually produce quality. Now, one of the things we have to do the most is study hard and collaborate with those individuals so that they can be a skills exchange. So there is competition, but personally I've chosen to look at it to not so much focus on the competition, but focus on how much can we learn from them so that we can take our materials we have in Uganda and our stories and put them on the global market. Now, Also, the other thing, you notice that UCC has been pushing forward the idea of local content, local quotas. Now, Ugandan TVs, I think besides Smart 24, because I've been watching Smart 24, you talk a lot about local businesses. So you guys have plenty of local content. But a few other channels in Uganda, they still haven't met those quotas as per se. So there's a lot of room. The issue is, how do you create content? Because we don't even have to take our content to global markets. The local market is enough to consume. And if something is being consumed in Uganda, most of the channels which are showing in Uganda are also showing online. Even white people will watch the content. As long as the content is well presented, well animated, it's quality, it is screen worthy, people will consume it. I know studios right now in Nigeria who are grossing about $1 million a year. And Netflix is buying their content. In Uganda, we haven't been, maybe we're not yet there. We're almost there, but we're not yet there. But I know of recent, even there was a team in Uganda that actually was animating in a collaboration with Disney. Okay. And I know there are a number of artists here in my own circles who are also working on Disney projects in collaboration with different studios. So we are so much for us focusing on collaboration rather than the content, because, rather than the competition. We can't get rid of all the content Cartoon Network has created and how much our children in Uganda are watching a lot of Disney. We can't get rid of that, but we can provide them an alternative. And as long as there are producers in Uganda who are willing to invest money in animation and in these products, talking about products, there are different products which you can create with animation and actually put on TV and sell. So we also encourage businessmen. If you are there and you have some money, do some feasibility studies into these industries. Actually, there's a real potential for you to actually make a good return on your investments. Yes, skills for youth is the real thing in Uganda. The youth energy is here. We just have to make use of it.
Wow, Andrew, you've talked about $1 million grossing 1 year. That's quite big. What Andrew has been talking about is, there is a statement, no, sorry, I said Alex Musisi, sorry about that. Talking about Disney doesn't want anything from us, but they want our stories. And one thing we need to know is that so many of us love Hollywood made movies. We want to watch this Thor, we want to watch the Batman, the Superman. Well, that's very fine. But when you really go deep into to find out where those stories come from, these are culture stories. These are things that tell stories of societies in those areas. So, and that explains, yes, it explains why they make quite some good money, because they sell their stories. So imagine in Uganda we have our stories we can tell through the animations, and these stories, the white man would be very interested to watch them. And definitely at the end of the day, they are going to buy them. And when they buy them, those are millions and millions of dollars grossing into the industry by us. So embracing our stories is very important. So Andrew, sorry, I don't know why I'm calling you Andrew.
Because you're a brother.
Okay, Mr. Alex,
yes.
Tell us your future prospects into the animation industry, your future prospects.
Yes, so I have been in industry for the last 8 years. I was lucky enough for somebody to have held my hand up to a certain level. And most of us, we got these skills through maybe another person we knew. We appreciate that. So when you start your own space, of course, you have your own ideas. You have a place where you want to go. Now, when we were establishing Cartoon Mentor Uganda, we noticed that animation is expensive to study. Because most schools here in Uganda, we have a couple of schools, private schools who are actually training animation. And you find that tuition is between 1.5 to about 3 million, per semester, which is actually more expensive than a university degree, which is strange. Because you get a diploma or a certificate. There are not so many institutions which are offering a bachelor's. So when we began our space here, one, we wanted to gather artists. We realized that people were studying animation, but after getting the skills, they would actually quit and go back into other kind of works. Maybe they would find a job in an office. So we felt like we were losing artists. So we established Cartoon Mentor as a mentorship studio. So actually we describe it as a production and mentorship studio. So actually we have guys here who are sometimes just here to polish their skills, because what the strategy was, I gathered guys who were some of the best people in the industry, people who are on top of their games in all areas. And and these people, for us, we call them mentors. So when you come here, depending on what we want, we kind of assign you that. So we wanted to focus on how can we enable people to access affordable training. So we kind of cut across different communities. So we have guys who who don't have a lot of money, but also we have the capacity to train people who have them, you know. So the plan was to train as many animators as possible so that we can increase our capacity, and it's still the plan. Now, in that plan, we are starting to collaborate with different studios, because we know sooner or later we have to produce a content that earns money, and one of them is a TV series. You have to be continuous. Commercials are good, but they are periodic and they consume a lot of resources, yet they're like short bursts of energy. You have to work intensely because they're high quality, but they are one-offs. Now, it is much more profitable if you produce something continuous, something you can market and move around globally. So that's what we are targeting. But in that regard, we need to collaborate with the institutes which have capacity. And one of them are universities. So as Cartoon Mentor, we've been doing workshops in universities, doing sensitization and workshops, showcasing. It's actually how we get most of our students. Now, recently, we landed a partnership with one of the major institutes in Uganda here, a private university. We shall be actually soon, they are going to be announcing our partnership, so I'm not allowed to talk about it right now, but it promises a lot. So we are going into writing research papers, you know, for a system which has been considered informal. We have finally gotten partners who are willing to actually formalize this. So we're going to write papers, research papers that people can access in universities about animation and the local industry and businesses. We are going to apply for bids and grants with our new partners, and we're going to do some major production based incorporated in training at higher institutes level. So it's one of the areas where I want to go. So the other prospect is an association. As an industry, we are lacking an association. It's one of the things also we are working as Cartoon Mentor to work with other artists to establish an association. So we are trying to get the business to collaborate with the people who have the funds to actually bring it a bit more out. That is really what we are working on, and I believe it's what I'm going to be working on in the foreseeable future. Yes.
Wow, 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 wow. Today it's Animation Day, and not Animation Day, it's animations. We are talking animations here. And we've heard from Alex Musisi, a very experienced person into the industry, explaining to us the journey of his animation and what really takes for the animation industry to boost in Uganda. So for those of you who've been wondering whether you can really make money from the animations, he's just explained it all. Very profitable. Right now, let's get back to studio with Joram Paul Sonko. This is SMB on ground.